Yo, what is up, everybody? It is the Jaginator, Corey Marco. It is time for the first official episode of the Dodcast for Season 8. We've got to go over like 1,052 matches this week. We've got a lot to cover. I just realized that I've been using the wrong scene for all the cast. This is the cast overlay with the chat. And lately I've been using this one because I'm a fucking idiot. So now all those videos that I've recorded for the World Series of DoD casts are missing the chat, which I'm very upset about now. Fucking idiot. Fucking idiot. Okay, anyways. I love this song. I don't care if it was in a frag of the week before. I'm going to use it at some point. I think it was Chris that used it. Sorry, Chris, I'm taking your song from a frag of the week. You had too many good frag of the week songs back in the day. I'm stealing them all. Okay. So, you know, I love to start things off with a little bit of a DoD movie. I don't really have any clear-cut idea on which one to watch because it's not like there was a match already played. This week's map is Lennon. This episode is going to probably be like 3 hours long. This is going to be a learning experience for us all here. Okay, because this is the largest number of teams we've had in the KTP era. I didn't do Dodcasts back in the day, so I'm not sure how we're going to do things in this current season with 21 teams, extra matches to cover, extra recaps to do every week. This episode should be able to be kept timely, but I don't know. It's gonna be a pretty good, I think, measuring stick for how future episodes are going to have to be done in order to not be 5 to 7 hours. Mainly because I talk too much, not necessarily even because there's more teams, just because there's more chances now for me to talk too much. So this week we just have to predict, right? I already did the whole preseason rant in a separate episode, thankfully, otherwise this would be a 5-hour episode. And then hopefully I can keep this episode like at bare minimum under an hour and a half. If it gets up to 2 hours, we have a problem going forward for sure. But I'm going to go out of my way to make this like an hour, preferably an hour and a half at most. And then, yeah, hopefully when I do recaps, I won't be talking too much. Next order of business, make sure to submit to War Within for the frag of the week, please. 21 teams, that's a lot of clips, right? We already played our match. I already, actually, I don't think I sent it to him yet, but I already timed my shit. Hopefully someone else on Thunder will. I think Tox had a clip or two. I don't know about anyone else. Hopefully some of the Icy Hot guys send too, because I know they definitely had some clips. Justin has to send a clip for sure, because he almost won that game for them by picking up someone's dead nade and throwing it back at us. I still don't even know whose dead nade it is. No one said a word. I was just sitting, watching the first flag, and all of a sudden a nade comes fucking dropping out of the heavens into my face. Very, very crazy, that little, it wasn't like clip, but it's hilarious. So yeah, submit to War Within for the frag of the week. I don't remember if there might just submit to Steve. If you got land right, so here's the thing. Steve was gonna make what was like a mutiny for just the LAN, but he's only gotten like 9 or 10 submissions so far. Now, I have all of Thunder demos, obviously. Most of them are timed, so like there's also the Thunder guys to submit. But as of right now, he's not going to make that movie anymore because there's just not enough clips to justify it. And it's likely to just become actual Mutiny 4 where online clips are being submitted as well. But if you guys got crazy clips to submit to what is Mutiny basically, but just for a LAN, now is the time to do it. Otherwise, the opportunity is gone. And obviously, like clips from the LAN are likely to have a little bit of a lower bar because it's a LAN, so you're not going to have quite as likely an opportunity to go like ace or anything like that. So if you got some pretty good clips from the LAN, at least like fast 3Ks, like fast as in under 10 seconds, or something with a crazy fucking, like if it's a 4 kills in 20 seconds, but like one of it is like a flying fucking no-scope, like think, what would Corey use in a movie? I have a pretty high bar for movie clip stuff. So just think, like, is it within a couple points of that? Otherwise, who knows when Mutiny 4 would get done. I definitely already have a couple clips sent to Steve from, not from myself, from other people. Like Taylor's clip from Solitude last season. Basically aced. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that was probably better than any actual ace there's ever been. Andrew had a clip against us in the finals last season. I don't know if he actually sent it to Steve or not. What about Justin's train car clip, right? Like, these are 3 Mutiny clips right off the fucking bat there. So I know a lot of people want to save clips for their movies. It's 2025. It's really fine to have your clips show up in multiple movies. Like, I'm the biggest clip hoarder in the world, and I'm fucking sending clips to everybody left and right. Who cares, right? I understand the thought behind it, but, like, no one's going to think less of your clip when they saw it in, like, a solo movie or a team movie and also saw it in Mutiny. If anything, if they liked your clip, they're going to be excited about it to see it a second time. I get that way about certain clips. So, and the last order of business, I guess, is technically, it's not really an order of business. It's just, I was looking at all the matches for this week, and I was like, oh my God. I have to just apologize in advance if I don't get to cast your game live. I really hope that everybody this season will record, even if, like, you have to have somebody else go into the HLTV and record it themselves. This week might be a little bit sketchy because it's Lennon, and Lennon HLTVs were broken at the LAN. I don't know. We still don't really know what caused it. I was able to watch our HLTV from this week in regular DoD, which helps. But if you aren't sure that I am live casting your game, I mean, I would say everyone, if at all possible, just have a contingency in place to record the HLTV, whether it's using the binds or doing it the other way that Caleb does it. The only thing with that way is that, like, if you do that, and I was already actually planning to cast your game, then I won't be able to get into the HLTV. So that's the one downside with that method of recording, is that, like, if you do it preemptively and then it turns out I'm going into your game, I wouldn't be able to get in there. And then someone would have to go, like, turn it off and fix it and everything, and it would be a whole process. So I don't know. I don't really know, like, what the best move is for that, but realistically, either having, a backup or just a friend who's not playing in a match at the time go in and record the HLTV, especially if you know for a fact that I'm not doing it live. As of right now, I was just, like, looking at the games as they came up in the match alerts. G-Skill versus Over, I think, is an obvious one to do, right? Getting G-Skill's first game of the new season at 3 p.m. What else was there? CK specifically requested I do this game. That's at 10. I don't think that there was another game at 10, so I think that one was fine to do. But then after that, it's like there's so many other matches here. You got this game here, Best Buds versus Game Violation Multi-Hack at 3, as well as Volvo versus Clinic at 3, which is also at the same time as G-Skill versus Over. So if I'm doing G-Skill versus Over, I can't do these other 2 games, right? So, like, those 2, definitely record HLTV if you can. 4 o'clock, we got Price is Right versus Expired. Was there? I think there was another game at 4 o'clock. Maybe not. That might have been the one that I was doing at 4 o'clock. So it looks like 4 o'clock is good. But then obviously default time, 9 o'clock. Like, there's going to be a shit ton of games at 9 o'clock. You got Dice versus Soul. You got Clan X versus Emo, which was a game that I definitely was interested in doing as well. Then we're missing times for Uncle Rico, which I'd like to cast their game with, Ian and Cadaver and Kevin all playing. The Ninja Rifle Nades. Did I get what time they were playing at? Player week. Okay. They're playing their week 1 matches in week 2. Okay, so we got some time there at least. So that's not getting played yet. So that's one less game to think about. I think that's everything, right? So yeah, actually 9 o'clock what was it, 9 o'clock? It was just Clan X versus Emo? I don't know what I just said. And Dice versus Soul. Okay, so that's a tough call. I'll have to see what the teams that are playing think, you know. Like if they feel like it's going to be a good match or if they just kind of don't care if I cast it live. But yeah, point being, it's going to be tough to record or to cast everything live this season. There's just so many fucking matches. So apologies in advance. Like I'm literally just, you know, either it's like a crazy game that you can't miss, you know, like if it's Dice versus G-Skill rematch or Dice versus Icy Hot or G-Skill versus Icy Hot. Like those are all obvious. Like you have to cast those games live. Those are the money makers right there. Those are the fucking LAN rematches. And then there's so many, like Silver is so stacked. It's like almost every game is a game that I really want to cast. Silver is absolutely out of this world this season. There's going to be very few matches. I mean, of course, the season could start. Some teams could just not be playing well and stuff. Maybe it turns out that there are going to be some like clear blowouts. But as of right now, with a clean slate, looking at everything, I don't see a high likelihood of there being much in the way of a blowout here, besides like one team being really good at a map that another team doesn't particularly like. So, all right. I'm just going to fucking pick some shit at random here because I already talked a little too much. Do I have the first ever frag of the week? Well, at least the first one that we can actually watch. I think I watched that one on here. And there's not going to be a Lennon frag of the week from that time frame, unfortunately. What's a dog shit Lennon frag of the week that I made? Here's a dog shit Lennon frag of the week that I made. It's like the first or second frag of the week I ever made. It's a dog shit. Look at this. It's in fraps. I was using in-game sound, so that's at least something that wasn't super prominent at this point. I mean, that's a ridiculous fucking Tommy gun clip. Nick. Everything I'm not. L7X, is that Lynx? For a second I thought it was Joey, but I think it was Lynx. I don't know. Could be Joey too. Little 3H action here. There's Grat, Nick, Matt. In the worst way. Hank. I mean, this is the ugliest fucking movie. Okay, no, I say it's the ugliest. There was a Harrington frag of the week I made that was way worse. Here's Stin. Can't do this anymore. This is a perfect example of why it used to be fun sniping Allied side Lennon. You get to this spot and just murder. What were they going to do? Coming around that corner and throwing nade at me. I'm going to kill you before you can get it off. And then I don't even have to peek you guys there. Look, see, I can crouch, pop my head up, and just shoot. It's a beautiful spot. Demetrius, I just want to break you down so badly. Is Colin going to die in this clip? There he was. In the worst. Kazin's got a crazy clip in this, and so does Cody. Here's the Kazin one. This reminds me of a Milo clip. I mean, that's some bonkers recoil by this guy. I don't know how I felt about that recoil control there. Ace. Not, for those of you who are confused, this is not the Ace that plays with Thunder. Ace Tamino. This is different Ace. Much older school Ace. Matt Emmons. I'll make damn sure. I like how that guy's name was Fill-In for Better People. Sure Shot's got a pretty fucked up clip here, I think, in the shot of the week. We need to remember to do shot of the weeks and clips of the weeks when there's one that's really, really good. I just want to break you down. Look at that, a double well break through the wall. This is not the clip of Cody that was nuts. This one's good, but he's got a better one. That should have been double. I just want to break you down so... Look at that shot. That's the clip. Here's the shot of the week. Fucking Rick. Fucking Rick. How did I finish this thing? Next week, DoD Railroad. That was made by Ham. Wait, no, that can't be right. This says week 2, and then this is week 11. Wait, what? Maybe I mislabeled that, because this is the Railroad Frog of the Week from the same season. But it's maybe he mislabeled it. I mean, yeah, team-wise. Yeah. The Lonely Hearts. Alex. Boom. God. Okay. I love Ninja. I love me a good Ninja clip. Alrighty, let's get down and dirty. Let's start off in the bronze section. Alright. Man, this is going to be a long one. If you can't tell, I'm already like, whew, I got my work cut out for me here. So, starting off, we've got Uncle Rico versus the Wickeds. So, for Uncle Rico, don't know exactly what the starters are going to be. It looks like Zamp is, I'm pretty sure, a backup. I believe that's what I was told. Somebody definitely did tell me what the starters were, but I don't remember if it was in a DM or if we were just talking in Discord. So I'm going to take, it was G, I think, in my Twitch chat. So Head Like a Hole, Purdy, G, Cadaver, Ian, Stark. Zamp is the 7th man for sure, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh yeah, that's exactly 6. Okay, so yeah, those are the starting 6. I can't wait to see Ian and Cadaver playing DoD again. I mean, it's crazy. If Ian plays DoD even like once before the matches, like he's going to immediately be an extremely high impact player. If you don't already know who Ian is, you're gonna know soon. And Cadaver was a very, very high level heavy back in 2004, 2005. So another heavy back in the game. Obviously, that's kind of like the rifles are dominant in this game right now. There's not a lot of heavies. Certainly not like natural heavies. There's a lot of guys who have had to start heavying just because there's so goddamn many rifles and snipers. But this is a guy who was heavying forever. Going to be interesting to see. And then for the Wickeds, much bigger lineup here. Did Bullets send me their starters? It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like it. Damn. Okay, so I need to I'm going to be more organized this season, I think. I'm going to have to make a notepad with when people send me their starting lineups and shit and just keep it in there so I don't constantly open up people's DMs on stream. I need to remember that. So, Jiraiya, Bullet, Ryan, AZ, Jiraiya Jr., Leto, Zaps, Luco, and Berinya. I hope Berinya's playing this season. Really, really good player from the early days of KTP, who hasn't really been around the last few seasons, but extremely fucking good. I assume it'll be something like Jiraiya, Bullet, Jiraiya Jr., I assume Zaps will get in there, Ryan, Berinya maybe, or Leto. It's a little bit tough to tell with this lineup, but there's definitely a few situations that I could see them having a very strong looking team. Just a matter of if those guys can all show up on time, right? And who's going to play what classes. Again, lots of rifles here. That's going to be a common theme throughout all the teams we look at. This is an interesting one, right? The Wickeds last season, I think they won 1 game. They were closer in some other ones. They've got a lot of potential. They've been playing together for a while. They've got some really good players here. Just a matter of getting the full puzzle together, which, Bullet is a really good way to do that. Guy's been playing the game since it existed. And now this is his 2nd season playing with them. With Uncle Rico's time machine, though, I mean, this is just obviously a lot of these guys not been playing for years and years here, but this is a pretty fucking stacked team, especially by bronze standards. If these guys were all active, there's no way they would be a bronze team ever. So for them, it's just going to be a matter of getting back into the swing of things, if they're going to be active or not, right? If they're not active at all, maybe it's a little bit of a different story, but I think even just playing matches week to week is going to be enough that you're going to see this team really get scary as the season goes on. I still favor them, even taking into account the fact that Ian hasn't played in 10 years or 15 years and Cadaver in 20 years and stuff. Purdy, we've seen Kevin just show up and still be really fucking good at this game. Nick has been really good at this game. G has been really good. Stark, having a game breaker heavy just right there in the mix off the bat on a map like Lennon as well. I think it's an uphill climb for the Wickeds, but it's very doable, right? This is when you want to be playing Uncle Rico's Time Machine in the first couple weeks of the season here, where they're still figuring shit out and getting back into the swing of things. And the thing is, I don't know. They could be scrimming already. I don't know. It's possible that they are already at that point. Maybe they've been playing together. I'm not sure. I haven't been able to keep up with who's scrimming when as easily this season because there's so goddamn many teams now. In seasons past, like I'm always taking a look and, seeing who's scrimming, jumping into the HLTV, seeing, if like a guy who's new or is freshly back is playing well, but not going to be so simple this season. I am still going with Uncle Rico's Time Machine though. I think this will be a close game or Ian and Cadaver are just going to have no problem getting back on the bike and riding it straight to a victory here. It's entirely possible that they just run away with this thing if those guys are even close to their primetime form. But, this is a game where I'm a little bit less sure of my prediction because there's so many variables in play with Uncle Rico's Time Machine. Namely just Ian and Cadaver and what kind of shape they're going to be in game right now. But there's no doubt that you give them 2-3 weeks of even just playing matches, and this team is going to be scary for everyone else in the division so fast. So fast. All right, next game up, No-Go versus Rodeo. This is a game that I will definitely get to cast, it looks like. Well, it was 10 p.m. and nothing else was at 10 p.m., so yeah, I'm going to get to cast it. All right, so for the Rodeo, I am assuming, I'm making some assumptions here, but I'm assuming that the lineup will be something along the lines of Yarrow and Nick on the heavies, which Yarrow has been playing really, really well. Obviously Jane's on this team, so I've gotten to be in there and watch them stream their screens and scrims and watch them in the HLTVs a couple times and stuff. Nick and Yarrow on the heavies. Lasik has been playing so well rifling. Lasik has had no problem getting back into the game. I don't know how much he's played, but every time that I've watched them scrim, he's looked really, really good on the rifles. Obviously, CK is CK. He's going to get his 80 kills and 78 deaths. Maybe less. And then probably Kicking on the third. It could really, if it's not Kicking, it's probably Bo. I think Titus is not able to play super often. Maybe it's just match nights even. Like Sunday at 9 o'clock is like the only time he can be around. But then Sir Snipey on the sniper, obviously a guy who, really had his coming out party at the LAN, which is quite a way to make yourself known on the scene, right? And he's only going to continue to improve the more and more he plays DoD. On the No-Go side of things, so the Silver Champs from last season, obviously it's a little bit of a different team. No Sick, no Compton, but still the bones of this team is there. Deidro, I don't know if Coy is going to play necessarily. Three-sided quarter, another guy who was at the LAN, played super well. Cushy, if Spoon is playing on the heavy, that's quite a player to have to deal with. Blue Revolver, I assume because he probably doesn't want to snipe. He hasn't been sniping in the recent seasons. He'll probably be playing something else. Solid Ride-On is a guy who hasn't played in years and was a really, really good player. If he's back and playing regularly, another nice upgrade to the roster. Same with Jamie. These guys are two guys with plenty of level experience at the invite level, and then Matthew, who is going to be insane at any gun you give him. That is just a really, really strong team, regardless of who their starting six are. You can mix and match so many different lineups with this team and have it be scary in this division. This is an interesting one, right? It's Lennon, which CK loves. I think some of it is going to be dependent on who No-Go has playing and heavying. They have a lot of rifles. There's so many rifles on this team. Who will be heavying for this lineup? I'm a little bit less sure. Spoon definitely is a heavy. If he's playing, you know he's going to drop bombs on Lennon with a heavy. If he's not playing, who are their heavies then? Now you're getting into throwing guys on a heavy that maybe aren't actually a heavy, but still good players. It's still doable. Solid ride-on can definitely heavy, as can Jamie. But again, I don't know how active they've been, how many hours they've gotten in the game recently. Whereas on the rodeo side, Yarrow and Nick, as a heavy team, match pretty well together. I did actually play a Lennon scrim with these guys against Best Buds, I think it was. Yarrow played really well. Like it was one of the first 2 times I had gotten to see Yarrow play, in 2025, and he looked like he was really on top of his shit. Obviously, we just saw what Nick can do on Lennon, and then you're dealing with CK and LASIK in well. This is a tough one. A lot of it is going to come down to that apartment side of things, because even with CK and LASIK at well, and I mean, no matter who No-Go has going well, they're going to have a really strong rifle team over there. But you need apartments. If you don't have blue room control, you don't have double windows control, your well team is just getting pelted with bullets by the opposing heavies. So that's going to be really important. Whoever wins that battle, I'd favor a little bit more there. Not knowing who No-Go has heavying, I'm inclined to say Yarrow and E-Man and Rodeo win. I think the long battle is a fun one for sure. I think that'll probably be one of the more fast-paced long fights you're going to see in any match, because you got a couple of guys who just want to go out there and fucking frag and not really, stop and sit and wait. But I wish I knew exactly what the starting lineup was for No-Go, so I could give a little bit more of a well-formed opinion on this. As it stands, I think this is a 50-50 coin flip of a game. I'm going to go with Rodeo just because I've seen them scrim Lennon and know exactly what to expect out of them. But I think, you could play this game 100 times and No-Go could easily win it 70 times out of that. It's just a matter of I don't know who exactly is starting for No-Go, how much they necessarily have played. Hypothetically, if you have Solid and Jamie on the heavies, and if neither of them have really gotten to play much DOD lately, that could get bad. But if those guys have gotten even a couple hours in game, all of a sudden things turn in the other direction in No-Go's favor. So, but as it stands now, I'm going with Rodeo. I know they've definitely been scrimming. CK is going to bring the heat, and new dad CK. In case you didn't know, congratulations to CK and to Brandon Newton, who, we'll congratulate him again later when we see him in that lineup up there. But not new dads, but they just had another kid, each of them, and not together. So congratulations to the new dads in the DoD community. Next up, and the last one in the bronze division, Ninja versus Rifle Nades. So, for Ninja, I don't know exactly what to expect here. I assume Miller and Illusion, obviously, probably Bestia, right? Woody has been playing a lot. COD player, very, very skilled player. I mean, these COD players in here that have been getting into DOD, watching them play early on in their DOD careers, and you see why they are professional players in another game. They just got it. And that's only going to get, even more so as they continue to get more hours in the game and get matches under their belt and stuff, and just kind of see the way the meta plays out in a team play scenario. Is AimTech playing? I'm a little unclear on that. Verb, Steve, Dirty German, all new players. And then Shogun, is Colby playing too? Again, another guy who, he was back, what was it, last season or 2 seasons ago? I think it was last season, season 7. Pretty sure. He was around, I think he left and now he's back again. Last season he was stuck playing in gold as his first exposure back into the game in 15 years, which is not optimal for anyone. So, if you got Colby playing, even if you took a gun from him, you just gave him nades, that alone is going to be a huge difference maker in any of these fucking games, period. This team, the Ninja, could well be the favorites in the division. You can just see the amount of skill they have throughout this lineup, and then the new guys with the raw talent learning from everybody else. as the season goes on, this team is just going to get more and more formidable. On the Rifle Nade side, I did just have their lineup sent to me. Chrono and Boom on the heavies, as expected. Actually, I thought maybe Celts was going to be on the other heavy. Take it back. But it's Firo, Azilla, and Celts on the rifles, and then Arachnid, of course, on the sniper. It's Lennon, so it's like a little bit less of a sniper-heavy map, obviously, but Arachnid is actually pretty tough to play on this map because, like loft to loft, loft to apartments, being pushed up as an ally, whether he's holding in apartments, just kind of holding double windows and mid and stuff, or if he actually goes off to bench. These are a lot of areas where, he thrives in hitting these shots. Like, you're not going to just peek Arachnid straight up and win that fight very often. So even though it's not necessarily a strong sniper map, the areas that you have to play in as a sniper are strong for Arachnid. If the Ninja has Max playing, like, obviously that goes a long way towards mitigating the damage that Arachnid can do to you. But if he's not, be on the lookout for Long to get a little bit spicy. Really, I mean, with Rifle Nades, obviously it's a lot of guys either coming over from Source or coming back to 1.3 from Source after a while here. Firo was playing, Season 2, I think it was, that we had CIS, and really, really strong. Continued to improve as the season goes on. Chrono has played 1.3 millions and millions of times. He will have no problem picking it right back up. Azilla, obviously a ridiculous player. You can put him on any class. He's going to be carring. I feel like that has been maybe his strongest class, at least his highest impact one. He can snipe. I mean, we had him heavy for us on a draft team, and he was just so willing to do whatever we needed him to do. This is a team that if you don't take them seriously, like if you're just looking at the names and are like, well, it's not like, Milo and Jules and Toxinator or whatever, and you think, well, I don't know who most of these guys are and haven't played against them much, you're going to run into some problems because there's a lot of skill on this team and more than enough in-game IQ to be able to figure out 1.3 very, very quickly. We could see another instance here where the Bronze Division gets won by a predominantly Source team. I have no problem saying that right off the bat. Some of these guys are insane Source players. Some of the best Source players of all time. And, 1.3 is a lot more of an intuitive game. Like, it makes a lot more sense mechanically than Source does. And so if you're able to get good at Source, odds are it's going to be even easier to get good at 1.3 because, like, you strafe, stop, shoot, pull your crosshair down. The bullets are generally, we all know how broken the fucking game is too, but generally the bullets go where your crosshair is. So, the nades are incredibly strong. So maybe that's like a little bit of a difference between the two games where nades are just so goddamn overpowered in 1.3. I'm sure I and everyone else has thought, what if there was just a little bit less nading in 1.3? Could it be more fun? Would it be too weird? But this team is going to be, I think, maybe the dark horse in the division. It's kind of tough to say, I think, in this division, to be honest. Like, a lot of it is going to come down to activity levels. This team right here, I think if they are, one of the 2 or 3 most active teams, that gets very scary for everybody else. But this team, if you don't walk into your games against them recognizing just how capable they are of winning week in and week out, that is your mistake. On a map like Lennon, obviously with a Miller and Illusion rifle team, potentially Bestie on apartments, I just expect Rifle Nades to come out flying this week. I think they're going to have a really, really, they're playing next week, both their games, but you know what I mean. It's just kind of an interesting matchup in that regard, too, where pound for pound, maybe besides Game Violation Multi-Act, the most, newer 1.3 players playing for each team here. So there's a lot to learn this week. I'm really excited to see that game. I definitely want to cast that just to get to see a lot of the new blood coming in and how they look in matches. I've gotten to see a lot of them in 12-mans. And just that alone has been impressive for me. And we obviously are in an era where Savage just showed up, played last season in Silver, I talked about him so much throughout the season and how impressed I was with him. And then he went to the LAN and was the breakout player of the LAN and is now on G Skill. So if that isn't enough to show you right off the bat that a guy coming over from Source with even like with any amount of talent in that game can come over and figure this game out quickly, then I don't know what will. I'm going to go with... I really want to pick Rifle Nades here, to be honest. I just keep thinking about, Illusion and Miller, and if Max is playing, and Bestia and Shogun. That's the thing, right? If I knew exactly what the Ninja lineup is, I could maybe, again, pick this a little bit more accurately. I'm gonna go with Rifle Nades here. Only because I really have no idea what the lineup looks like for the Ninja. But, I mean, this game I really don't feel confident in picking at all. And I think this will be probably the closest game of the week. I mean, I could be way off. There's so many unknowns. Did I just unplug my fucking keyboard? No, I didn't. There's so many unknowns at play here. But I think this is going to be like the match of the week potentially here. Lots of interesting matchups we got across the routes. Totally dependent on who's going to end up playing for the Ninja, though. It could be, in one setting you could see the Ninja win, and in another setting you could see Rifle Nades just run away with this thing and start off 1-0 with like a big win. So I assume that with guys like Illusion and Miller and Aim Tech, if they're all playing, not going to let that happen. If they have like their best six, I would lean towards the Ninja for sure, but I'm a little unclear on if Max is still playing at all. And then specifically with the Ninja. So we'll see what happens with that. It won't be till next week, so I will probably hear exactly what's going on with that before they ever get into the server, to be honest. Maybe next time I cast, I'll talk about it. All right, on to Silver. Man, how deep into this are we right now? Oh, yay. We ain't getting under that hour mark. I need to be a little bit less verbose. Okay. Game violation, multi-hack versus best buds right off the bat here. So, game violation, multi-hack, a little bit unsure on what the lineups are here, but I'm assuming for sure Raleigh, No Name, and Hooli off the bat. I'm guessing Aki on a heavy. Pijisku, he can snipe and I think heavy. Viper, Sango, Knack. I mean, these guys, I've gotten to play in 12-mans with really all of them. And they're all really good already. These guys are going to have no problem adjusting to match DoD 1.3 from what I've seen. They are not just like running around aimlessly and shooting stuff. Like they understand the minutia of competitive DoD already. It's pretty clear. And then obviously at the top with the main three guys that I know of from playing 1.3, like that's a really strong foundation to work with already. And then on the best buds side, so who is Nicholson eats? That Nicholson eats $4. Nicholson eats $4. Not sure who that is. So let's see. Wait, we got Hopper, War Within. That's got to be Big Bird, right? That's got to be Big Bird. So Hopper, War Within, Bromley, Big Bird, Chicago Legend, Epion, Piff, Bobby, and PD, who is PD from Zero Effect, Skull, and the original online Thunder. I got a message from him after the last Dodcast. So it's another guy coming back to DoD after 20 years who was a very strong and well-rounded player back in the day. And the more activity he gets, the more he's going to get closer and closer to back to his primetime self. With this team, we know what their lineup generally looked like with Hopper, War Within, Bromley, Big Bird, Schick, and Epion. Wait, what? And Bobby. Wait, no, Bobby was on leftovers. I was like, in my head, I was like, wait, but we also Bobby dropped 40 on us, but that was already 6 guys. Okay, so Bobby, I don't know what the lineup is. Bobby, Piff, and PD, all really good players. I mean, I think maybe with them, it's going to just depend on who can show up each week, but, an already strong and have played together for a while team here, adding in guys like Piff and Bobby and then potentially PD, that's a lot. That's a really nice looking team. Strong additions for them. Reliable players and guys who can fill in anywhere. and immediately make an impact. Here's the thing. This is Lennon, and No Name is on the other team, right? And No Name doesn't even have to like go well or apartments to have the impact. He's going long, and he's getting 80 kills, and he's everywhere. So, No Name can single-handedly win games on Lennon against anybody. It doesn't matter whether it's bronze, silver, gold, a draft. Doesn't matter. He will be pushing 100 kills every time he plays Lennon and goes long. There's not anyone out like you very rarely, if ever, are looking at the lineup of the other team and going, the guy going long, that's the guy that we really need to try to contain. Doesn't happen. But No Name, he's found ways to have that impact going long. He's just all over the place. He's hitting his nades. He's just really making life difficult between the long team that he's fragging and the apartments team. And then he's also getting pushed up tier 1. And now the well guys have to turn around and they have to be worried when they're coming off the spawn. He's just really good at finding the seam to not have his impact limited to guys who peek long, right? Like the long team. And if a bar peeks from big window or an STG or whatever, that is the biggest obstacle to overcome here. On top of that, if you got a guy like Hooli sniping, Raleigh over at well, it's going to be definitely a difficult game for Best Buds. Best Buds are a really strong team, right? And they've got the guys to deal with the matchups everywhere. It's just really going to come down to like, can they limit the damage from No Name? Because he's going to make it difficult for them no matter what. Again, it does not matter. He will get his in this game, and Best Buds will have to have a way to deal with that. Whether it's specifically going in and trying to trade him together or having, multiple nades being thrown at him at once to try to layer them together and keep him, isolated in whatever area he's in. But you can't just let him have free reign. Your team has to work together to deal with that. Because if it's just kind of like, well, I'm in apartments and he's in back cave, I'm in mid, but I'd rather just like go push up double windows and leave him there. Well, then guess what? Now he's up at your first flag and he just killed your 3 teammates on a spawn wave. So now your choices are go run to the first flag and hope you can get it before they cap out, or stand there and die. You got to have something to deal with that. Best Buds very capable as a unit with dealing with that. They're going to need a strong performance in apartments no matter what. I think you could have a strong performance at long. It's not going to matter. No Name is still going to get his there. I've seen it. I've done it myself time and time again. You think you're having a good game. No Name is having a better game on that route. Don't let yourself believe that you're doing enough that you're countering that. It's just not going to happen for anybody. We've even seen it with fucking T3. We've seen No Name against the best gold teams still do this. It's a lot to overcome, and you need to do it as a team. So that's really the key here for Best Buds to overcome the No Name factor in this match. This isn't like a week in and week out thing, but on Lennon in particular, going long, No Name can win games single-handedly, period. And you need something for that. So Best Bud's very capable of doing it, without a doubt. And obviously, like, you're going to still need the other guys on GMVH or GVMH to have good games. You can't just have No Name doing it all by himself. But, like, I fully believe that they'll be fine. Like, Hooli was a good player. Raleigh's a good player. It's just everything else around No Name doesn't need to be that strong on this map. He can do a lot by himself. And, I'm curious to see how Best Buds will play against that. To me, it feels like No Name's going to come out and just drop a bomb on everybody here this week, and that's going to be how it goes. But Best Buds could definitely come out of this with no problem. I've played against No Name on Lennon too many times to pick against him on Lennon. There's plenty of other maps where the same matchup I would pick Best Buds. On Lennon, right now, I'm going with No Name. GVMH, I'm taking here by like 80, like a cap and a half, 2 caps. I don't think they're going to blow them out by any means. I think Best Buds will be in this game right up until the end, but he's just the kind of guy who, like, you might, you could see Best Buds like, oh, they have well, and now they're pushed to the 1 and they killed a spawn wave, but No Name is still alive at long, and now they send 3 guys out to try to cap long, and No Name gets a 3K. And then they recap the 1, and that's a spawn wave down, and now they've got well, and all of a sudden it goes from they're capping out to GVMH is capping out. It's just that's what he brings to the table, an explosive frag power on that map, on that route, where it's difficult to find a whole lot of frags. He goes hunting for them, and he finds them. All right, on to the next one. God, this division is crazy. Price is Right. Wait, that's week 2. Price is Right versus Expired. So this is another really fucking good game here. So for Price is Right, you got Caleb. Corey is not going to be playing. It's Caleb, Pibian, Riv, Leo, Trance, and 9, I believe, was the 6. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. And then for Expired, so, man, a bit of a question mark from here. I assume Raven, Pizza Hut, SQ, Fincher, Anna, and Super? Maybe Pocho? All active players on this team, right? Like, this could easily be any 6 of these players. I'm assuming that it's going to look something like that, though. Raven on the sniper, Pizza Hut on a rifle, Super and Fincher on the heavies, SQ on a rifle, Anna on a rifle. Not sure who's going to third, maybe Pizza Hut in that case. I think Anna generally cars, SQ generally cars. On occasion, he gets the car bar as well, depending on the map. Expired, who last season were just kind of unlucky. They looked like the team to beat, and then they ran into no-go, what was it, like 4 games in a row? Well, 4 maps in a row. I think it was 2 games and then a playoff series. And they still almost beat no-go, which was not a fucking easy task last season, let me tell you. But Lennon, right? Lennon. Now, here's the thing. On the Price is Right side, you got Leo, right? Leo on well, very tough to deal with. And you don't have Corey Price this week, but you got Trance in there, who I just talked about last week, how he's kind of like a really good analog for Corey if Corey's ever not there. You got Pibian on long, a guy who I've marveled at his ability to find value at long many, many times in casts, of course. And then in apartments, you got Riv to deal with. And then, him and 9 have been a heavy team for I don't even know how long. It's been a while. They got to be one of the longest reigning heavy duos left in the game at this point when it comes to like seasons in a row that they've played together as a heavy team. But even if it was just Riv by himself, that's a fucking tough ask. Fincher and Super, very good. Fincher, obviously, we all know how strong he is as a heavy, especially on this map. This is an interesting, man, Silver's just so good. Like, I don't think there is going to be a blowout. Definitely not this week. I guess I'll have to look again in the coming weeks, but I don't know that I see any way that there's a blowout. This is going to be a really good measuring stick, I think, for what's going to go on in Silver this season. Like, these are definitely the 2 of the favorites. Price is Right, obviously missing Corey, one of their best players. So it's not exactly their lineup, but I think Trance will do just fine filling in. For Expire, this is a strong map. Raven, one of their best players, being isolated at long, kind of having to fight with Caleb and Pibian over there, might limit how much damage he can do. But, Raven generally will find a way to get to a frag-happy spot and get his clips a couple times a game. And as long as that comes at the right time, that can be enough to break through and win this map, especially in a matchup this tight. Apartments. Obviously, like, it's so important. Who controls apartments is generally winning on Lennon. It's just the through line of the whole map. If you got apartments, if you got blue room, if you got double windows, well, what are you supposed to do on well? If you got a heavy in blue room and double windows and the well team shooting at you, and then getting long, if you don't have apartments, like, you're just having to deal with a guy big window. And in 2025, a heavy and big window is generally going to kill you 9 times out of 10. Maybe if it was 2006, so the average heavy standing recoil wasn't in great shape, but 2025, nah. Who do I go here? It's a tough one. When I woke up like however long since I started this ago, and I I was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to even look at it. I'm doing it on the fly. So I didn't really realize just how close every single matchup was going to be in silver. I'm going to go with Price is Right here. They are, I mean, not the defending champs, but they are a team that won silver in the past. We've got a couple of those. I think this might be one of the first times that we've had like multiple former champ teams in silver. Well, Clinic in season 3, yeah, but there was no Price is Right in that season, and Clinic was season 1. I think this might be maybe the first time we've had 2 actual former silver champs playing in silver. So I gotta believe Price is Right, right? Like, these guys are all team players. You know, with a guy like Caleb, who's going to be kind of leading the way vocally in the Discord. You know, they're going to have a good attitude the whole time. They're not going to get down on themselves. They're never going to feel out of the game. You know, with Leo in the mix as well, like, yeah, to go with Riv, the combined frag power there just this week, let alone when you add Corey in the mix as well, and then the backbone of Pibian on the sniper and 9 on the secondary heavy, like, it's a lot to overcome. This is kind of a battle of like pure frag power versus the more hybrid, like we're fraggers and we also have the team play aspect. Who comes out on top in this game and on a map like Lennon? You know, that's just kind of a tale of 2 theories on how to play DoD. I think that this will be a very interesting game to see in that regard. I'm going with Price is Right just because I feel like that makes the most sense to start the season off, but this is another, I mean, all these games are honestly 50-50 to me. I don't feel particularly strongly about anyone winning any of these games. The most strongly I felt was that No Name, like, his team with him on it, on Lennon, like, it's not easy to beat any team with No Name on it ever. That was the most strongly I felt, and even that game, it's like, well, if the rest of the guys on the team aren't playing like at an even average level, Best Buds is a really strong team all around, can easily overcome that. So that shows you kind of where I'm at with who is going to win each of these games. It's kind of just in the moment, what do I think? I think Price is Right, but very quickly that can turn around. And Expired are so skilled just individually that if Expired were to win, I could see them like actually winning by a few caps, right? Like if they're going to win, it's because they're all just on point. They're hitting their shots and things are just going well for them. And it becomes a slippery slope really fast on a map like Lennon. But I think Price is Right will come out calm and collected. Their big gun studs will do their job. And, you know, Expired will end up losing this game by, you know, like probably a cap. I think that's going to be a common theme prediction-wise in Silver this season. It's not a whole lot of games I look at and see a fucking potential blowout. All right, next up, Volvo versus Clinic. Clinic back in the Silver division, something I have every season been like, you know, is this the season that we can just put fucking Clinic back in? Like, they are continuously the team that gets fucked, forced to be the last team put up in gold. They never complain. They always win a couple games in gold. I fucking love it. But this season, they get to go back to the division that they were the original winners of. They also, in season 3, the last time that they were in silver, undefeated up until the semifinals. Then they ran into Goose Patrol with, you know, Debo and Andrew on it. It's a crazy, crazy fucking Goose Patrol team. Only being beat in the end because of lads, obviously. So, for Clinic, obviously... Well, actually, so here's the thing. I don't know, right? Carp, is he back in the mix? You know, he wasn't really available last season. I think he played 1 match. Insom, it's always kind of a question mark. Can he play regularly? I don't think he really has been able to play a whole season since, like, season 2. It's definitely been a minute. He's very busy. Definitely Sam, definitely Tom, definitely Vic. I assume Debo as well. But then you got Walter, you got Scott is usually there, too. Like, it almost doesn't matter, though, with Clinic. They're all very versatile. You know, you can put Tom on any class. You can put Sam on any class. You know, you can put Debo on any class. You can put Allen on any class. It really doesn't matter who their 6 is, to be honest. It doesn't change much in my eyes. On the Volvo side of things, it's kind of the polar opposite. They've got exactly 6 players. It's Scotty, Yanni, Manor, Toki, Kingyo, and Wua. Doesn't look like they've gotten a 7th man in the mix yet, so I'm assuming they're very confident in these 6 guys showing up, which is nice. I've been on Thunder teams where it was like, these are our 6 and they're going to be here all the time. It's very nice to not even have to think about who's going to be there and who's going to play what. That's their team. And this core of players has played together basically since the start of KTP. With a few very scarce exceptions, the core of like Scotty, Toki, Manor, JN, Kingyo, that's typical in season 1 and in season 2. Was it Lads? Some of them were definitely on Lads. Like Toki was on Lads, Yanni was on Lads. Was Scotty on Lads? Can I pull up season 2? Season 2 stats. That wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but come on. Give me... No, that's gold. Love me... Wait, this is season 2. I'm an idiot. 3. Duh. Where are we? Lads. Okay, so Yanni, Toki... Okay, no. Okay, so yeah, they were still, I think, what was the name of that team? Heartfinder. Scotty, yep. Manor. Okay. Where's Kingyo? Where is Kingyo in this season? Did he not play in this season? I would have never guessed that. Oh, wait, there he is. He's on Flossed. Okay, that's right. I forgot about that Floss team. Man. Goddamn. All right. It's Lennon, obviously. Strong players for Lennon here on Volvo. I love seeing the nades that Kingyo throws at long. I actually figured one of them out myself since I had to play long this week. Going into the game against Icy Hot, I took the time to go figure out how he throws one of those nades. Very impressive, that nade. It took me a minute to get it locked down. This team is capable of beating absolutely anyone. Like, these are all very, very good players. And they're the kind of players who can get very hot. Like, you can see Scotty, like, I can't tell you how many times it's been just Scotty taking over a game. Same with Manor as well. And Toki has been, maybe consistency-wise, like, top 5 sniper in the game throughout KTP. However... It's Clinic, right? And the guys you got coming out here for Clinic, whoever it may be, like are the heavies, Debo and Vic. That's a fucking pain in the ass of a heavy team to play against on Lennon, without a doubt. At long, like, is it Sam and Carp or Sam and Tom? It almost, again, doesn't matter who it is. It's going to be a strong long team. And then in well, a hypothetical of Scott and Insam, or Scott and Tom, or Scott and Walter, or Scott and Allen, like wherever Allen plays, he's going to have high impact. You're not going to see me pick against Clinic too much this season. It's just they have been competing in gold out of 7 seasons of KTP, 5 of them. They've beaten most of the best teams in gold at one time or another. They are very capable of beating absolutely anybody. This is Clinic's return to silver to go win themselves another ring. I think they are the favorite, just from a baseline. This team is also very fucking scary, as is this team. It's going to be interesting to see how things look after, I don't know, say like 3 weeks. After 3 weeks, I'm going to be able to reevaluate and tell you who I think is the favorite, but with no games played right now, I just think this is Clinic season here. They have not asked for this at all, but they're getting it now, and they deserve it. They have never once complained about being put up in gold, no matter how much it sucked every single time. That the way gold worked out, they needed one extra team every time, and it was always like, well, Clinic can absolutely do it, and they're not going to complain about it, so like it's easier to just have them go up, and they're going to want to try to win. They're not going to bitch about it. They're not just going to quit or anything. Now they get to go into silver and go out there and try to win themselves a second ring in that division, which they deserve after playing gold so fucking much. I take them in this game. Now, here's the thing, right? With Volvo, I don't think anyone's ever going to blow them out. They're too good for that. I'm guessing it's going to be Manor and Yanni on the heavies, Toki obviously on a sniper, and then Wua, Kingyo, and Scotty on the rifles. Who's going to be the other car? Does Kingyo get to car this season? Potentially? I don't know. That I'm a little bit unsure of. That's the one thing I'm unsure of with this lineup is who is the third, who is the car. But as I said, these are also players who can run very hot. And if you get a hot game out of like 3 of them here, that could make things scary for Clinic very, very quickly, But the thing is with Clinic, they are also a cohesive unit. So it's a little bit easier for them than the average team to kind of regather themselves after giving up a cap or two and say like, all right, get it together. Stop fucking around. Where are we having problems? Let's figure it out. Let's adjust this. We've seen them time and time again have guys, swap off of guns as needed. Very good at making adjustments on the fly. I take Clinic by like 2 caps here, I'd say. But yeah, you get a couple hot starts out of the guys on Volvo and things get real interesting real fast. On to the next one. Nope, not there. Clan X versus the Emo Frag Squad. Oh, there's a buy in silver every week. That helps a little bit. With the time. It's unfortunate that we don't get to see Band of Morons play this week because this is a scary-ass fucking team, guys. This is a scary-ass fucking team. Just to touch on that real quick since they're not playing. Cody, Darren, Ben, Guillermo, Baron, Drew, James, Defrag, Insight. I mean, to be honest with you, if you had to pick one more team to be in gold, I think it would have to be that team. That's a scary-ass fucking team. I would be concerned about playing this team as Thunder. Like, that's a lot of fucking, not just skill, but that team is going to mesh really well together, to be honest with. Like, you could have a potential heavy team of Crawd and Till. The polar opposites of playstyle. Like, think about that heavy matchup on a map like Lennon. That's scary. Baron, an absolute stud on whatever rifle he's going to get to have, Insight, I think, is thirding from what I recall. So who, I guess that I said Till and Crawd, but maybe James isn't going to necessarily be heavy because he obviously got Cody as well. But Darren on a sniper, I think Insight's supposed to third. So maybe it's like Baron on a car and, maybe James, maybe Cody. He did have to rifle going into the LAN. Obviously, if Ben or Cass are there. Lots of options for this team. They could basically play fucking class roulette and just pick any 6 players out of that lineup and any 6 classes and be favored in just about every game. But we got Clan X versus Emo Frag Squad. So for the Emo Frag Squad, it's gonna be hard for me to not call them Jetty as the season goes on, but we're gonna work on it. You got Steve, you got Matt Rogers, you got J-Rod, Ian, Saf, Apple, Spec Ops, Ricky. Who is Ricky around? I said this last week. Is Ricky around? And Decaf. I'm guessing you got Ian on a sniper, Steve on a rifle, Matt on a heavy, Sapphire on a rifle, Apple on a rifle. So wait, rifle, heavy, sniper is my assumption. And then for Clan X, I love this team. Lobaton, Empy, Rafinha, Manga, Nitrox, Matt, Bitch X, back in DOD, Mand, and Bud. Now, this team, so Nitrox has definitely been sniping, I think. So I'm guessing Mand is not super available to play. Here's the thing. Nitrox you can put on any fucking class. Period. Doesn't matter. Put him on any class. I don't know. Empy's been sniping a lot too. Lobaton, I assume, on a third. Rafinha on a car. Matt on a heavy. Bud can play anything. I wish I knew exactly what the starting lineup was for this team. It doesn't matter. They've got 9 guys, and any 6 of them playing on any 6 classes, they are fucking looking good. Emo Frag Squad has their work cut out for them this week. They are going to need to be on their shit. They've definitely gotten to scrim a few times. That's good. Because if they hadn't, then I would be saying, like, I don't think it's very likely that they win against this team. This team is stacked. But they have gotten some reps in. They have a lot, obviously, of strong players. Apartments with Matt and J-Rod is going to be super important, and I think that's a really, really nice mix for a heavy team. On well with Steve and Saf, against like Rafinha and Manga, or Rafinha and Bitch X, or Rafinha and Lobaton, whoever it is. Obviously Rafinha is the big ticket guy there. You can't let Rafinha go off too hard here. But that's not just on the well team, right? That is also on having apartments. If Rafinha doesn't have to worry about like 10 angles at once, he's not going to miss very often. And then at long, Ian and Apple, who Apple, if you don't know, is mechanically insane. Mechanics-wise, I put Apple up against basically anyone in the DoD community. If you haven't ever played any games with Apple, the guy is just cracked. He's cracked. Third rifling bodes well for that crackedness, right? More bullets to put into heads. Him and Ian up against, I'm assuming, Lobaton and Nitrox or Mand or MP. I'm not sure who's necessarily sniping. I think, here's the thing, right? I look at Clan X as one of like the top 3 teams in the division right off the bat without any games played, right? They're so stacked. Emo Frag Squad has a pretty scary lineup. It has a pretty scary lineup. I could absolutely see them pulling out a win this week. I have a feeling that that's going to be Clan X by like 15 points. I don't know why. It's just the way my brain sees this game playing out when I look on these two teams is like Emo Frag Squad comes out hard. They come hard and fast. They're all over. It's all over the place, right? And they get a lead, and eventually Clan X starts probing and finds a way to break through, and it comes down to the wire, and Clan X hang on. I don't know why. It's just kind of the way that I felt about this game when I looked at it. So it's just that there's not even anything in particular why I feel that way. I think it's going to be a close game either way. It's kind of a battle of explosive play styles here. And you live and you die by the explosive gameplay, right? Like, if it's not working, it can become a very long game very quickly. When it is working, it can be dominant. And I think it's going to be kind of a trade-off in that regard, where it's like who is dominating for a little bit longer in those moments that everyone's hitting their shots. Clan X has a little bit more overall experience as a team, even though they're kind of a little bit more of a mix of a few different teams now. But the core of it, I think, you get J-Rod going off, of course. That's just how it goes with J-Rod. It's like a guarantee. Him and Matt in apartments is very, very important with to not only holding apartments, but keeping well under lock and key. The long side, I think, is a pretty even, solid matchup, just from obviously from a raw skill standpoint, but that's not the most important thing in DoD. It's just one of the pieces. Yeah, this is going to be a fun game. I don't remember if I was going to get to cast it or not. What time was that game at? 9 o'clock. Shit. So that's a 50-50 game. Hopefully they'll play in a Thunder server so I can just be certain that the game has the HLTV recorded. We'll see. But I'm going with Clan X by 13 points. Obviously, that's a really, really close deficit, and it could go either way. But I don't feel particularly... I think, to be honest, this could all change. Like, it's going to depend on how Emo looks this week. This will tell me a lot about what to expect going forward, because they could easily beat anybody in the division, right? They have the pieces to be able to do that. Sometimes the pieces won't come together, though. There's been a lot of teams where you look at the pieces and are like, that team's going to be ridiculous, and then it just doesn't work out. Obviously, all friends, right? So there's no reason that this won't work out. People who have played many, many games together with me as well. So I think they have the potential to be one of the favorites in silver. It's just a matter of if it blends well in the server at game time. If they can get the hour, they don't need a lot of hours, obviously, but they need some hours playing together in between. You can't just show up for matches in this silver division this season. That ain't going to work out for anybody. It's just too stacked, the division, honestly. This is the scariest silver division there's ever been. There's been some good seasons of silver. Season 3, this season here, was really fucking good. when you look back at it. Clinic, Lads, Insomnia, No-Go, Goose. I mean, Goose ended up in the finals from this 2-4 spot, and this is when Jetty was there last, which Jetty, I think, might have had a pretty similar-looking team. What was Jetty's team that season? John, Steve, Matt, Ian, Riv, Frank, Dan was kind of like who their 6 actually was. Frank and Dan didn't play like any DOD. That was really the big problem, was they never... Frank hadn't played in 20 years and didn't play outside of matches, and Dan was not even a DOD player. Otherwise, that team could have easily gone from 0-6 to 6-0 if they had gotten the hours and the server together. But that just shows you how talented a team can be and still, I mean, they went 0-6, right? Like, you look at that team and think, like, that team could probably be in gold. Just from the names and the pieces on it, but it doesn't always work out in the server. They need to all find their roles and what their piece is on the team and be able and willing to do it going forward here. If they can do that, they can beat absolutely anybody, even in this stacked ass silver season. But we'll see what happens. Obviously, just one game. You can't put the whole world on it, but this will be a pretty good indicator of what their baseline is, at least going into the season. Even with the loss to Clan X, if they keep it close, that's a really good sign. It's a really good sign because this team is insane. All right. So, on to the gold division. Okay, so starting off first, we got Thunder, Toxinator, Jagon, Jules, Dorito, Ryan Emo, John Gale, and then Hudson as well, depending on who's there. We got 3 backups in Ace, Fusion, and Scorch. They're all like, they need to know pretty far in advance to be able to play. So it's kind of like, depending on who can be there between these 3 guys is who the 5th and the 6th are. Ryan can't play certain days. John and Hudson can't play John can play most days. Hudson can't play certain days. Odds are it's mostly going to be me, Jared, Jules, Dorito, John, and then... Dorito, John, and then which one of these 2 guys can show up. And then for Icy Hot, Jesse, William, Sean, Justin, Ben, Chi, Bees, Vertex T. The 6th spot is a little bit more up in the air, I think. I would guess that for this week, it's going to be Chi, definitely. And if I had to make a prediction, I would say that Thunder would win by like 15 or something like that. Or like 35. Something like that. I don't know. Just a prediction. I don't know. Just off the top of my head. Spoiler alert. Okay. On to the next one. We know. I never predict my games, but this game actually already got played, and I'm not going to start recapping it right now. So we'll do that next week, but spoiler alert, it was a really fucking close game, as you would expect. As I think that's going to be the most common theme this season is really fucking close games in all the divisions. It's a very fun-looking season of KTP here. All right. Match of the week is G-Skill versus Over. I will save that for last. And then we've got the Soul Skaters versus Dice. Dice, obviously, coming off runner-up at World Series of DOD LAN. I talk about this team so much and how insane I think they are. They are such a scary team in my eyes. Not just the name value of the team, but the way that they play together as a unit is just, it's so fucking crazy. They are tough to get a read on. They're tough to get a feel for. They're all over the place. They are really, really good at covering each other's asses in order to be able to make crazy plays, right? You got really skilled players who, if they get the space and the freedom to be able to go try to do something nuts, a lot of the time that's going to pay off and be a game breaker, but you need to be able to rely on the other 5 guys around you to cover your ass when you go to make those plays, and Dice, as good at that as anybody, and it really, really opens up any given map for all of them to be able to go off and try to do something crazy, and then when it works, that's how you win games. And that's how you win close games. Sometimes it's that one play. The Railroad 2 game against us at the LAN, sometimes it's just that one play. Having the space and the confidence in the team around you to go try to make that play, and then it pays off, right? So you got Kevin on the sniper, of course, Matt on a rifle, Paul on a heavy, Alex on a rifle, Johnny on a rifle, Chris on a heavy. You got Ryan, who can play anything, Asani back in the mix, generally a rifle, Laura, generally a rifle, Hey Hi, generally a heavy, but the first 6 are, probably mostly going to be their starters. And then on the Soul Skater side, as I alluded to earlier, congratulations to Brandon, just had a baby on the same day as CK. The DoD community loves to keep it close always, don't we? We just got so much overlap, even in the days kids are born. I love it. This lineup, a little bit unsure what it definitely is going to look like, but I'm assuming... So first of all, I talked about this potential rifle team of fucking Craig, Luke, and Justin. Just unbelievable rifle team. Assuming that is the rifle team. And then you got something like the Stampers, of course, Jared and Jordan on the heavies, and maybe Cam sniping. Or, see, here's the thing. That's where it gets a little dicey from there. There's a lot of guys on this team. Ryan can be playing anywhere. Shreddy's, I would assume, is going to be playing a lot of the time. He was just playing for them at the LAN. If he isn't playing, I guess it's probably Cam playing and sniping. Austin, I'm guessing, can't be around that much. Same with Brandon. But you never know. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just making that because obviously Stamp can also snipe. And we just saw in a LAN demo how easily Blackhawk can snipe. He got so many fucking kills on Axis side, Lennon picking up snipers and just hitting the shots and making it look easy. That's my biggest question mark with Soul, is just what is the starting 6 or 7, like little rotation going on there. Their rifle team, assuming it's those 3 guys especially, scary rifle team. Heavy-wise, I gotta assume it's some combination of the Stampers and Twist. But you could, Justin can fucking heavy too, without question. You can throw Justin on a heavy, and he's going to be one of the best heavies in the game immediately. But alas, I don't know for sure what the lineup is. And because of that, I go Dice, because I know for sure what Dice's lineup is, and it's a scary one. And even if they're missing one guy, it doesn't get any less scary as soon as you put in one of their backups. So, on a map like Lennon, we've seen Dice play time and time again. It's chaos, and their players tend to thrive in chaos. In the finals against G-Skill at the LAN, it didn't work out for him, but that was more a testament to how fucking good G-Skill is. Nothing about Dice. Dice, they continuously had moments where it was like, how are they breaking out of this right now? But then as soon as it would be about to be turned around, like somebody on G-Skill or a couple people would make a great rotation or hit a perfect nade or just do something fucking insane. That was a testament to how insane G-Skill is. Against anybody else, if Dice plays that same game on Lennon, they probably win. I'm pretty confident in saying that. And they lost that game by like 250 or something, or 300. So that just goes to show how strong G-Skill is. But Dice, you put them up against just about anybody on Lennon, and I'm taking Dice. Alex and Well, you see the shots that he was hitting all over the place on Well. Kevin and Johnny at long is such a well-balanced long team. Kevin is always going to find value on any map and any route, but especially on a route like that where the average sniper isn't finding that much impact. Kevin does. And then the apartment team of Chris and Paul, again, a really nice mix. Chris made a great adjustment, I think, play style-wise, playing with this team to where he became a lot more methodical along the way, right? Like, he is already, we all know how crazy and aggressive he can be, and finding that extra gear, it's not easy, man. If it was so easy, then everybody would do it, right? And Chris was able to really adjust his game on the fly around the rest of the team and be, I would say, one of the absolute most important parts of that team at the LAN. He was constantly in position to have to make very important plays and was always delivering on them throughout that entire LAN. That, I think, was what really pulled that team together to make them, top 2 elite of the elite. When all was said and done, was bringing in Chris on that 6th spot and him finding an added gear to his game. Because we all love to play aggressive balls to the wall DoD nonstop, but that all isn't what every situation calls for. And it is difficult to rein yourself in that moment and make the play that is going to benefit your team. It may not be the most fun play. It may not be the most exciting play. It may not be the play that you want to make, but in a team game like this, it is so important in those moments to be able to make that adjustment, and all the players on Dice understand that. And not only just understand it from a macro level, but understand it in the moment, in the situation, based around their teammates, based around their route partners. And yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup for Soul to get right off the bat, but Gold is just tough in general. Soul obviously has all the talent on this team to be able to match up with anybody. I just don't know what their roster is right now. I know that their potential rifle team makes me shit my pants. I really hope that is the rifle team that they're deploying week in and week out with Justin, Luke, and Craig, because that is such a fun fucking rifle team. For them, it's just going to be getting the hours in and getting the lineup locked down on who it's going to be. And I think they're very committed to doing so. I think that Soul is going, if you're looking at Soul and going like, well, they're the new team in Gold this season, like whatever, you're in for a rude awakening, because this team is just as scary as anybody else. It's really just a matter of understanding what their lineup is going to look like. Is it the Stampers on the heavies? Who's sniping? Is it Cam? Is Austin playing? Is Shreddy's playing? Is Ryan playing? Who's in the mix here? I'm guessing Brandon can't really play with the new baby. And last time that I was playing with Austin in Season 6, he was kind of like, he could be around one night a week, but like sometimes it was at a weird time, So I don't know. I just have a lot of question marks around what the exact lineup looks like for Soul. But I have full confidence that they have it figured out, and they are committed to scrimming and to really digging deep on trying to go out and win Gold this season. Like, I don't think that they're just here and they're like, oh, whatever, we're in Gold, it sucks. I think that they are very much committed to going out and trying to beat every single team in Gold this season. And that's really what it takes, is full commitment in this case, because the rest of the teams in Gold are very committed, man. In case the games weren't clear evidence of that in every Gold season, it's a different fucking game at that level. And Soul are all players capable of playing the game at this level. So I'm very, very excited to see the way that the season progresses for them. But yeah, this matchup, I'm taking Dice. They're just so fucking good, man. They're just so fucking good. And last but not least, G-Skill versus Over. G-Skill, after winning the World Series of DoD and KTP Season 7, the clear best team in DoD right now, the team to beat, period. There's no debate about this. I'm sorry if anybody finds that to be offensive, but I mean, the evidence kind of backs me up on this. This isn't really like a debate at this point. They just won the LAN undefeated. They won KTP Season 7. They lost one game along the way, but it was on Hallie. That doesn't really count. I'm sorry. Hallie's poop. But yeah, so for G-Skill. And oh, by the way, the one game that G-Skill did lose, though, was to Over. So keep that in mind going forward. I mean, Over was really fucking tough last season, man. They've been together since the start of KTP, and in my opinion, have improved season after season after season after season, have gotten a better grasp on their play style with each other and playing more as a team. They're definitely still way over the top aggressive. Again, to their benefit or not at times, but for G-Skill, obviously, Taylor and Milo on the heavy, Chuck on the sniper, Andrew on a rifle, Frank, if he's playing, on a rifle, Colin on a rifle, Scott can play anything, Savage on a rifle, Linus can pretty much play anything. I'm assuming, and I have no idea on this, but I'm assuming Frank is going to be kind of 50-50 as the season goes on, because he's got a lot of stuff going on all the time, right? Same thing with him when it came to the 3H season. Like, he was there probably like 70-75% of the time. He was able to make sure he showed up in the playoffs. He doesn't need practice. Let's be clear. Frank can show up anytime and open up DOD and get 100 kills. Like, it's insane to watch. And you can put him on any class, and he's going to do that. He'll show up, we need a heavy this week, Frank. Okay. Goes out and drops 95 kills in the finals. Like, oh, cool. That must be nice. But I'm guessing with Frank being not as available, I'm guessing Savage gets his spot there. So probably something like Taylor and Milo on the heavies, Andrew, Savage, and Colin on the rifles, Chuck on the sniper. But, if at any point they need someone else, being able to plug in Scott there, a guy who's done nothing but play Invite, can play any class, and intelligence-wise is, top of the pile. And then Linus, who obviously, if you've played DOD ever, he's insane at this game. He just came back and played in the draft as well. This team is stacked to the tits. And then 4 over, Kumkum, Mata, Caffrey, Saka, Jizz, SC, Nightmare, Nick, and Devin. With this team, I never know what the starting lineups are going to look like. You would assume, well, okay, for sure, Caffrey and SC heavying, right? And then if one of them is missing, you could pretty much have anyone else. You could have Devin heavy. You could have Nightmare heavy. You could have Kumkum heavy. You could have Mata heavy. Probably not Jizz. Jizz probably rifle if he plays. If anything, like if they were missing a heavy and didn't have one of those other guys, you'd probably put Jizz on the rifle and move one of the other rifles over to the heavy. But, like Kumkum, Saka, Devin, Nick, SC, Caffrey. How's that sound? That sounds pretty fucking insane, doesn't it? That sounds pretty fucking insane. And hey, if you're missing Nick, you just throw Nightmare in there, Like, that's a pretty... And hey, if you're missing him, you just throw Devin on the sniper. Like, you just got 3 of the best fucking snipers ever here. But, with over, lots of questions around the lineup always. Who's going to be able to show up each week? When they have their best 6, they can beat absolutely anybody on absolutely any map. That is just... I feel very okay saying that. And everyone else should too, because they are insane. The heavy team, I think, is the biggest pivot point, right? Like, they have such a good heavy team. I am so excited about the matchup of Caffrey and SC versus Taylor and Milo on Lennon. I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a good one. Over is very strong on Lennon. They're kind of weird where they almost feel stronger on their Axis side sometimes. Having played them on Lennon a million times now, like sometimes they feel like their allied side, they end up just like maybe a cap short of what they really felt like they should have got. I don't know. Honestly, I think that we have a similar problem on Lennon too. I think also Lennon has just become more balanced. It's definitely still allied sided, but I think Axis side, you'll see getting won in even games a lot more often now, which is a testament to the changes made to the map, because that was not even close to the case before. I still pick G-Skill. Here's the thing. I'm not going to pick against G-Skill ever. I just won't. If I care at all about getting my predictions right, which I do, even though no one keeps track of them, and if someone wants to keep track of them, that'd be cool. I'm not going to do it because that's way too much extra work, but I generally am picking, where in my head it's like, I remember, I got that right, I got that one wrong, I got that one wrong. I had a lot of predictions last season that might have looked wrong to start, and they ended up right. And same thing heading into the LAN. Like, I picked a lot of the LAN right. So, I'm not going to pick against G-Skill. Let me look at the schedule and see if there's any game that I might even consider it. I feel like, the fact that this is Railyard makes it a little bit more interesting, but, I still think G-Skill prevails there. I would pick G-Skill here as well. It's against us, so I'm not going to pick. Dice G-Skill on Armory. I still pick G-Skill, but we already saw this one at the LAN, and it was very close. That was a really good game. G-Skill Soul on Thunder. G-Skill's so good on Thunder. Well, I know they might not like the map, but they are so tough to play on it. Solitude versus Over. Yeah, I'd still take G-Skill. Again, I don't know if they necessarily like Solitude, but they are really fucking good at it. G-Skill Icy Hot on Harrington is an interesting one to me. I still pick G-Skill, but if there's any team that can match up with G-Skill and keep it within range on Harrington, it is Icy Hot. That one I got marked down for the whole season. That might be match of the season right there in gold. We play them on Saints. Oh, man, we're going to get smoked. And then Dice on Railroad 2. I like that matchup, too. Oh, man, G-Skill got kind of shafted when it comes to who they're playing on what maps there. Like, if there was any chance for an upset, Icy Hot getting to play... I mean, right, G-Skill is definitely the best Harrington team, and by a lot, but Icy Hot understands, the intricacies of Harrington better than anyone else besides G-Skill. And then Railroad 2 versus Dice. I think Dice, besides G-Skill, again, strongest Railroad 2 team in the game. So those are two, I'm very excited about those two matchups. And then obviously Thunder on Anzio, like we're kind of known for that map, but we also got beat by Clinic on it before. It really depends on what Thunder shows up for that game. But yeah, they definitely got three games where it's like those teams are the next best team on the map. So that's at least something. But, I ain't picking against G-Skill. Ever. I'm sorry. They're that good. And that's me assuming that Frank doesn't play at all this season. That's me understanding that Savage is likely in that lineup at all times. Because, with Frank, I'm sure on a whim, if somebody else can't show up, Frank can. Right? Like in a pinch, if it was absolutely necessary. I do think that somebody told me that they're going to be missing Taylor for a little bit too. So that makes it a little tough. But again, look at the guys they got to bring in here. Like they're going to be just fine. Even with G-Skill missing a guy or two, they're still fucking G-Skill, man. They're so good at the game and as a team. So not picking against G-Skill. I do, again, like this matchup when it comes to who's good at Lennon besides G-Skill. I think over is going to make this a fucking dogfight of a game. I can basically guarantee that. But you still go with G-Skill here. You got to go with G-Skill. They are the team to beat right now. And that will be the case until somebody can prove that they can beat them consistently, not just once. You got to be able to beat them consistently on multiple maps in multiple scenarios. Just beating them once means nothing. Anyone can lose to anyone on any given map, any given week. Honest to God, period. Until somebody is beating them consistently, I'm not picking against them. Not going to do it. Where did we end up? On hour 32. Was my mic muted this whole time? Okay, thank God it wasn't. Ooh, hoo, hoo. I'm always got a little PTSD about that right there. Oh, shit. Edit your score message to include the name of the map at the front of it. Change the number. Everyone was up my ass about 325 being 315. Okay, I have to change my score. I was yelled at. They're yelling at me. Okay, where is it? Edit. DOD Lennon 2 and 3. No, not 3,000. See, I fucked up again. I can't get anything right. Okay. All right. So that does it. Good luck. Have fun, everybody, this week. Please submit your Frag of the Week clips to War Within. And yeah, everyone, make sure that there's somebody around to record HLTV. I pretty much went over what I'm going to be casting this week, so you know if I'm definitely not casting your game, and if I'm not, try to get someone to record it or do it the Caleb way, or do it the way that we did it for the LAN with the binds that I always hit and fuck up. As long as I've got an HLTV, I will cast every game this season. I am very committed. I'm still working on the World Series of DoD casts, but that's okay. Here's the thing. I was really worried about getting it done before the season started, but at the same time, most seasons I don't have anything to stream during the week, right? It's just like I do the games on Sunday, and then if there's a couple of games that I got HLTVs for, I do them. Now, with the World Series of DoD HLTVs thrown in the mix, I can stream a few times a week, and get those banged out over the course of time instead of trying to just like burn my voice out doing them all in the next week or whatever. So yes, good luck, have fun, everybody, this week. We're back for KTP Season 8. We're bigger than ever. Let's fucking go. 2025 DOD is alive. What the fuck?